Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Macron is trying to build an alternative summit where he's going to have probably Russia and Ukraine negotiate with probably France and China. This is something that it seems like Macron is working on, according to this article that I have here from the Ukrainian side. So let's read the title first and go from there. Ukrainska Pravda, today 18th of April 2023. Macron wants to bring Ukraine and Russia to a negotiating table in summer with China's help. Well, let's discuss this first. Sometimes criminals, and I'm not equating Macron with being a criminal whatsoever, but it's a good analogy. Sometimes criminals or people who abused other people a lot, when they get older and their life is almost over, so they have nothing to lose anymore, right? They're almost about to kick the bucket and go and see someone else. They become remorseful in a certain way. They're afraid of what's to come, not necessarily what they did. Some of them are. So in light of that those kind of feelings, they try to do good, or they try to repent by doing some volunteer work, writing a book, denouncing certain kind of actions, these kind of things. Is that what Macron psychology is right now? Why am I saying that? Macron is out of France. He is the president. There's nowhere else he can go. This is his second term. So that means he's at the end of his life, political life in France in that way. He got the pinnacle. Now, it doesn't mean that he might not have other aspirations in the Europe or in NATO. I don't think he can have any chances in NATO because he's French and NATO is American. So, done. I take it however you want. So that's one thing. The other thing is maybe he knows that he's done. So maybe he says, you know what, let me try to put together an alternative to the American alternative. Now, that's going to put him in a collision course with United States, but I think he's at the end of his line in this matter. So he has nothing to lose because he's still the president. After that, what is going to be? The president again? He's not going to be the president again. So from the top, anything where he can go is down. So maybe those remorses, or maybe he just wants to play an historic role in this peace process, and he wants to distance himself by distancing himself from the American hegemony. Obviously, he knows very well who's who and what's what in the war in Ukraine. So it's not like, I'm so naive that Ukrainians would listen to me or listen to anybody else but the United States of America. I think he's not that naive. But I think he's just doing this as an attempt and, maybe as a with my life. Can be. I don't think that's the point. All right. Macron probably is right now with some champagne, ladies of the night, Bridget sleeping from 7 o'clock p.m. She's 7 years old, so she needs a lot of sleep, and he's bingo bongo, as Adriano Celentano's movie. Anyway, so here we have bingo bongo. All right, so here we have Macron. Let's see what arguments or how he thinks that he can achieve that. I don't think that's achievable unless Ukrainian leadership says somehow to their promoters, supporters, however you want to take them, without United States, Ukraine is done. We have to start from there. If United States doesn't support and help the Ukrainian victims, you know what I mean? Pushing everybody to do this and doing that and smacking everybody and itself coughing up and vomiting money from our taxes to them, and weapons, Ukraine will be done in no time, and would have been done in no time. I'm not saying that's a good thing. That's a different conversation. So I don't think that the Ukrainians will be saying, you know what, I'm in charge, Zelensky and Zhmyhal and Reznikov and Yermak, we are in charge, and Zaluzny. Okay, he's in charge, yeah. We are in charge because of you, basically. Without you, we will be sacked by many people that we helped along the way. So how about we just jump on the unknown, which is China and France, and let you go, because you're just gonna say, okay, I don't love you anymore, I'm leaving. Do you think that's the way the United States is gonna do? Okay, you don't love me anymore, I will not make you. Oh, come over here, what? I think that's what's gonna happen with those four and Ukraine, if they dare to say, we're gonna go to, I'm in love with China and France right now, and the United States is gonna say, okay. Boom. That's how it's gonna be. But that's my the way I see things. I might be wrong, but I don't think so. So let's go to Macron proposition here. Macron wants, okay, French President Emmanuel Macron is planning to approach China. He already attacked the United States with the Taiwan thing. He said something that he was not supposed to, but he said it, so that angered even his weasel countries in the European Union, which is Germany, who jumped on Macron's balls, trying to snip them as they had them snipped in 1945 by their, I don't want to say oppressor, defender. The ones that has troops, nuclear weapons, wrote their constitution, you know how they wrote it, right? And many, many other things. But hey, it seems like a Stockholm syndrome here that Germany has with the United States of America. If you know what it is, good. If you don't, it's victims start loving or having a big preference for their abuser, and they cannot let go. So China, with a plan that he believes could potentially lead to negotiations between Russia and Ukraine this summer. Bloomberg, so this source is Bloomberg, citing sources familiar with Macron's intentions. They get in his brain or what? Reported by European Pravda. Bloomberg's sources have said that Macron has tasked his foreign policy advisor, Emmanuel Boner, another Emmanuel, they don't have much imagination over there or something, to work with China's top diplomat Wang Yi. Very smart guy right here. He was a foreign minister. I don't think he still is, the other guy is right now, to establish a framework that could be used as a basis for future negotiations, according to people familiar with the plans. And where is the United States? What role will they play in all this? You say none? Okay. The French strategy envisions talks between Russia and Ukraine happening as soon as this summer, if all goes well. That's, oh man, I'm gonna tell you this, maybe, anyway. It was a skeptic read the Christian scriptures, the Bible, and he said, okay, well, this is what he wrote at the end of it. Sounds good, or everything sounds perfect, if true. So same with these guys. If all goes well, then we're gonna have the negotiations. All right. So the same here. If all goes well, said the people who spoke. What does it mean? United States out of the picture? Ain't gonna happen. An official from Macron's office, maybe he hopes that Trump will get into place and solve the problem in one day, as he said. And I think Trump would be able to take care of stuff fast. An official from Macron's office confirmed that plan for Boner to speak with Wang, but declined to comment on the details, adding that France's allies have been informed on French initiative. Who are those? I would like to know the allies. In response to questions, China's foreign ministry said it was unaware of the source of the information and difficult to verify the authenticity. On his recent trips to China, the French president fell short of his goal to convince Xi to talk to Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. Yes, because Xi Jinping is his own man, and China is an independent sovereign country and doesn't follow orders, right? So this guy should watch his mouth and go back where he came from. How old is he? Yeah, exactly there. The two still haven't spoken since the war broke out more than a year ago. Yeah, because this weasel tries to play the same game it played with the Western weasels, but China is not a Western weasel. China is not a weasel to start with or to begin with. Invited all those leaders that he needed money from. Someone caused them, shame them, built guilt somehow, and then they coughed up. But everything was because of the big guy behind. Tell them what to, you know what I mean? Macron also infuriated allies last year after he said allies shouldn't humiliate Russia. So if they got angry that he said not humiliate, what's the other option? Humiliate. And Russia will say, yes, we'd like to be humiliated. Hit me once again, once again, once again. All right. Bloomberg has clarified that it's not clear if Macron has support for his plan from Kyiv and its allies, many of whom have dismissed ceasefire proposals that would allow Russia to keep territorial gains. That's your interpretation of what's going to happen if a ceasefire occurs. But anyway, any future negotiations would be dependent on several conditions. Yeah, tell me, Ukrainska Pravda, what are those conditions? Including a successful Ukrainian army, Ukrainian spring offensive that would put Kiev in a position of strength during any talks, according to people. No, they have it by law, instituted by, what's his name, Clinton, I was about to say. Zelensky and his bunch, that it's illegal to negotiate with Putin. So what are you talking about? To start with. And they say we're not going to talk with them until they give back all the territories that they took. So it's not a spring offensive, it's much more. Many nations, and this is the what? Several conditions. And including is this one. Okay, yeah, we're not going to do it. They had this opportunity last year in October, with their September-October, their counteroffensive. And even idiot Milley said, well, take it because you're not going to have another chance. Yes, we are. Okay, now. Many nations are also skeptical that China can serve as neutral intermediary given its no-limits friendship with Russia. But who can? United States? Who supports with weapons? Or European Union? So there's no limits without helping them with weapon falls much short than these guys using everything else to support Ukraine. So basically no Western country besides Hungary could play that role. Macron has previously said, or Turkey, or you don't consider Turkey a Western country, that's why they got upset with the European Union and said, you know what, we withdraw our application for membership in the European Union, screw you guys. Macron has previously said, and it had a problem with Germany mainly. Macron has previously said that he sees that was a long time ago, major role for China, and that thanks to its relationship with Russia, it could bring Moscow back to reason. Yeah, because they are unreasonable, and if they are unreasonable, why didn't they use any nuclear weapon yet? Because that would show lack of reason. That lack of reason means madness, I would say, right? You don't have reason, that means you're like, or either like an animal, you just act with instincts, and if you act with instincts, you shoot to kill. You use whatever you have to win, and they didn't. Anyway, so again, a stupid statement here. Beijing hasn't shown signs that it's willing to pressure Moscow to withdraw troops. No, why would they do that? Because they know they are next in line after Russia. Are they crazy? No, they're not. They just sent their defense minister to Moscow to discuss some military issues, if you know what I mean. And I just read an article saying that that guy actually is sanctioned by the United States of America. But Russia doesn't give a about those sanctions, if you know what I mean. So yeah, they know it. The game is over, unless, you know, as I said, 300 people from the Russian leadership are just disappearing overnight, if you know what I mean, including Putin and some great number of generals, and replaced with weasels trained or educated in other countries. Then yes, they will not be able to do anything about it unless you know, Putin gets surrounded by enemies and from within, and passed to the Americans wrapped in plastic, sent over there like Milosevic was sent to Hague, right? Wasn't Hague? By the Serbs. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart. So Macron needs to speak with the Americans. I don't think the Ukrainians will say, yeah, we leave those guys, that is our bloodline here, or whatever, blood support. It's not going to happen. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.